Hello and welcome back to my channel English with Julian. Today I've got alphabetical list of word contractions for you. What is word contraction, you might ask? This simply means a shortened form of a word or group of words. In other words, you omit certain letters when speaking. Please pay attention to these so you can use them correctly. A not becomes aren't. Cannot changes to can't. Could not becomes couldn't. Did not changes to didn't. Does not becomes doesn't. Do not changes to don't. Had not becomes hadn't. Has not changes to hasn't. Have not becomes haven't. He had changes to he'd. He would becomes he'd. He will changes to he'll. Is not becomes isn't. Let us changes to let's. Might not becomes mightn't. Must not changes to mustn't. Shall not becomes shan't. She had becomes she'd. She would becomes she'd. She will changes to she'll. She shall becomes she'll. She is changes to she's. She has becomes she's. Should not changes to shouldn't. That is becomes that's. What will becomes what'll. What shall changes to what'll. What are becomes what'er. What is changes to what's. What has becomes what's. What have changes to what've. Where is becomes where's. Where has becomes where's. Who had becomes who'd. Who would becomes who'd. Who will changes to who'll. Who shall changes to who'll. He shall becomes he'll. He is becomes his. He has becomes his. I had changes to I'd. I would becomes I'd. I will changes to I'd. I shall becomes I'll. I am changes to I'm. I have becomes I've. That has becomes that's. There is becomes there's. There has changes to theirs. They had becomes they'd. They would becomes they'd. They will becomes they'll. They shall changes to they'll. They are becomes their. They have changes to they've. We had becomes we'd. We would changes to we'd. We are becomes we're. We have becomes we've. Were not becomes weren't. Who are changes to who're. Who is becomes whose. Who has becomes whose. Who have changes to who've. Will not becomes won't. Would not changes to wouldn't. You had becomes you'd. You would changes to you'd. You will becomes you'll. You shall becomes you'll. You are changes to you're. You have becomes you've. Okay, I'm going to give you a few sentence examples to explain this more. 1. I had and I'd. I had and I'd. I wish I had been there before you. I wish I had been there before you. I wish I'd been there before you. I wish I'd been there before you. 2. I am and I'm. I am and I'm. I am very cautious. I am very cautious. I am very cautious. I am very cautious. 3. They had and they'd. They had and they'd. They had arranged to leave at 4 p.m. They had arranged to leave at 4 p.m. They'd arranged to leave at 4 p.m. They'd arranged to leave at 4 p.m. 4. They are and they're. They are and they're. They are ready. They are ready. They are ready. They're ready. 5. We would and we'd. We would and we'd. We would like to read his speech. We would like to read his speech. We'd like to read his speech. We'd like to read his speech. 6. Will not and won't. Will not and won't. I will not do that. I will not do that. I won't do that. I won't do that. 7. You would and you'd. You would and you'd. I wish you would let me come along with you. I wish you would let me come along with you. I wish you'd let me come along with you. I wish you'd let me come along with you. 8. You have and you've. You have and you've. You have got what you want. You have got what you want. You've got what you want. You've got what you want. 9. What have and what of. What have and what of. What have you eaten? What have you eaten? What have you eaten? What have you eaten? 10. Might not and mightn't. Might not and mightn't. You might not know her. You might not know her. You mightn't know her. You mightn't know her. 11. Must not and mustn't. Must not and mustn't. You must not leave the room. You must not leave the room. You mustn't leave the room. You mustn't leave the room. 12. What will and what'll. What will and what'll. What will you do? What will you do? What will you do? What will you do? 13. What has and what? What has and what? What has she done to you? What has she done to you? What's she done to you? What's she done to you? 14. Who would and who'd. Who would and who'd. She needed someone who would understand her. She needed someone who would understand her. She needed someone who'd understand her. She needed someone who'd understand her. 15. Had not and hadn't. Had not and hadn't. I had not a clue what he was talking about. I had not a clue what he was talking about. I hadn't a clue what he was talking about. I hadn't a clue what he was talking about. 16. Do not and don't. Do not and don't. Do not go to dark places at night. Do not go to dark places at night. Don't go to dark places at night. Don't go to dark places at night. 17. Are not and aren't. Are not and aren't. We are not leaving. We are not leaving. We aren't leaving. We aren't leaving. 18. Might not and mightn't. Might not and mightn't. You might not know the truth. You might not know the truth. You mightn't know the truth. You mightn't know the truth. 19. Cannot and can't. Cannot and can't. I cannot do that. I cannot do that. I can't do that. I can't do that. 20. I would and I'd. I would and I'd. I would like to see her. I would like to see her. I'd like to see her. I'd like to see her. Alright, that's it for today's lesson. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel if you like this video. Have a nice time.